In a stunning development, President Trump has abruptly dismissed U.S. Navy Secretary John Farron amid the ongoing naval blockade operations in the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian naval forces have fired upon 3 cargo vessels in the Strait of Hormuz overnight, with one container ship sustaining heavy damage to its bridge structure. This latest incident occurs despite President Trump's announcement that the ceasefire with Iran will remain in place indefinitely following unsuccessful mediation talks in Islamabad, Pakistan. The abrupt dismissal of Navy Secretary Farron highlights deep internal tensions within the Trump administration, particularly with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over the pace of operations. Multiple sources indicate that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was frustrated with Secretary Farron for bypassing him and going directly to President Trump during the war. John Farron, a major campaign donor without prior military experience, enjoyed a close personal relationship with the president, which reportedly irked Defense Secretary Hegseth and others. The timing of this leadership change could not be more critical, as 15 U.S. warships enforce a significant blockade disrupting oil and commercial traffic through the strait. These developments underscore just how incredibly fragile the surface calm of the indefinite ceasefire truly is amid ongoing provocations by Iranian forces in the region. Many analysts are questioning whether Secretary Farron's abrupt removal by President Trump signals an impending escalation or simply a consolidation of power in the national security apparatus. For the Iranian Navy, this leadership shakeup in the U.S. could be perceived as a sign of American disarray, potentially encouraging further challenges to the blockade. Questions swirl about whether the blockade will see major changes or if this move indicates Trump is preparing for even bolder actions in the Persian Gulf. Meanwhile, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton has highlighted dramatic shifts in voter support from key groups that backed Trump strongly in the 2024 election. Trump's approval ratings in his second term have plummeted to historic lows, as many former supporters from those groups now oppose his policies and decisions. This political pressure raises the question of whether President Trump feels he has no retreat and must pursue aggressive foreign policy to maintain his momentum at home. Wall Street has responded with surprising resilience as the Nasdaq surged nearly 2% despite these serious geopolitical uncertainties unfolding in the Middle East in real time. Brent crude oil prices climbed, yet the market rally continues, driven by strong corporate earnings from major technology companies that are offsetting broader macro concerns for investors right now. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index plunged to a record low, revealing a stark disconnect between soaring Wall Street optimism and Main Street economic anxiety levels. Such volatility in leadership during active operations sends mixed signals to both allies and adversaries about the coherence of American foreign policy strategy overall. The UK's maritime trade operations have confirmed the recent Iranian attacks on commercial shipping, adding significant credibility to reports of heightened naval confrontations in the area. Vitol Group and other major commodity traders are profiting handsomely from the price volatility and supply disruptions caused by the ongoing crisis in the region. Airlines like Lufthansa are already canceling thousands of short-haul flights to conserve fuel as jet fuel costs spiral higher in response to the tensions. With earnings season in full swing, investors are betting that robust company results can carry the bull case until diplomacy eventually resolves the standoff. But how long can this delicate balance truly hold as political and military developments continue to unfold rapidly on multiple critical fronts around the world today? Yet the Beyond the Headlines report exposes the brutal truth that this indefinite truce buys nothing but time as Iranian gunboats continue testing American resolve in the Strait of Hormuz. City analysts warn that transit disruptions will cap any decisive risk rally, even as Wall Street pretends the naval blockade remains a minor footnote today. Trump's shocking decision to axe Navy Secretary Farron mid-operation reeks of internal power struggles that the transcript confirms were boiling over with Hegseth for months.
Farron bypassed the defense secretary to reach Trump directly, exposing the donor-driven chaos that now signals weakness to Tehran at the worst possible moment. This is the same administration claiming steady-state pressure while firing its top naval civilian leader during the largest blockade since World War II. Meanwhile, Brent crude has already blasted past $102, and Vitol Group alone pocketed $2 billion in the first quarter from this volatility.
Political retreat and markets hanging in the balance. The research briefing makes clear that April 30th stands as the heaviest single day of S&P earnings by weight since 2012, with massive implied moves. But can robust corporate results from the Mag 7 truly offset the widening gap between Wall Street highs and Main Street record despair exposed in the Michigan survey? Warsh's confirmation hearings for Fed chair now look even shakier amid this geopolitical firestorm, with Treasury yields reacting more to Hormuz headlines than policy nuance. Iranian state media footage of soldiers seizing vessels only hours after the ceasefire extension proves the truce was never more than a fragile diplomatic fig leaf. The transcript reveals Pentagon insiders stunned by the timing, calling it a major optic disaster that Tehran will read as American instability and hesitation. Commodity traders are laughing all the way to the bank while summer travel plans collapse under the weight of this manufactured energy shock, the report details so clearly. Lufthansa's 20,000 flight cancellations represent just the beginning, as low inventories and aging supplies threaten worse pain ahead, according to city desks. This leadership purge during active operations mirrors the recent Army chief ouster, projecting exactly the internal chaos Washington accused Tehran of suffering. Yet markets remain bizarrely complacent, betting diplomacy will magically reopen the strait before earnings season loses its ability to carry the entire bull thesis. The report's closing warning rings truer than ever. The gap between record Wall Street highs and record Main Street lows cannot persist without eventual violent reconciliation. Hidden agendas around global force management and resource allocation debates inside the Pentagon likely fueled this firing, but optics still scream disarray to adversaries. Trump's second-term political desperation, documented by Harry Enton's data on collapsing support groups, may be driving bolder foreign policy gambits with no off-ramp. How long before the fragile ceasefire narrative collapses entirely under the weight of real shots fired and real ships damaged in the world's most critical choke point? The investment research leaves no doubt earnings must deliver perfection this week, or the entire risk rally built on hope alone will crack wide open. Deeper market implications from this perfect storm of geopolitical fragility and domestic political pressure are about to reshape every asset class in ways few investors anticipate. Yet this explosive combination of events means that deeper market implications from geopolitical fragility and domestic political pressure will reshape every asset class dramatically in the weeks ahead. The fragile indefinite ceasefire is already showing massive and dangerous cracks as Iranian gunboats relentlessly keep firing upon commercial vessels in the vital Strait of Hormuz right now. President Trump firing his Navy secretary amid this critical high-stakes blockade operation reveals dangerous internal chaos inside his own national security team at the worst time. This kind of reckless internal purge during active naval operations sends exactly the wrong signal of weakness and disarray directly to Iranian forces watching closely overseas. Oil prices blasting well above $100 per barrel are now delivering serious real economic pain that corporate earnings will struggle mightily to offset going forward. Major airlines slashing thousands of short-haul flights in order to conserve jet fuel highlight how quickly this energy shock is spreading damage throughout the broader global economy. The shocking and growing disconnect between Wall Street hitting record highs and Main Street suffering record low consumer sentiment cannot last much longer without causing a violent market reckoning soon. Harry Enton's sobering analysis of Trump's rapidly collapsing support among his once loyal key voter groups explains the political desperation now driving these bold, risky foreign policy moves. The latest investment research report makes crystal clear that April 30th represents the single biggest earnings day for the S&P 500 index in over a decade by far. Even if those corporate numbers deliver absolute perfection, the underlying geopolitical tensions in the Persian Gulf threaten to completely overwhelm any temporary bull market euphoria very quickly. Investors who are betting everything on strong Mag 7 results may soon wake up to the harsh reality that oil prices and naval conflict now dominate the entire narrative. The indefinite truce only bought some temporary time, but repeated Iranian actions prove it was never a genuine path toward lasting peace or stability in the region at all. This sudden leadership shakeup at the Navy, combined with sinking presidential approval ratings, suggests that Trump believes he has absolutely no choice but to double down aggressively now. Forward-looking economic data from tomorrow's important flash PMIs and key GDP reports will likely confirm the early but significant damage that high energy prices are already inflicting worldwide. What happens next in the dangerous waters of the Strait of Hormuz will ultimately matter far more to markets than any single quarter of corporate earnings guidance or beats. For the Iranian regime, visible American internal turmoil and leadership changes create a strategic opening to escalate pressure and test the true limits of United States resolve. The coming days and weeks promise extreme and dangerous volatility as these military, political, and economic forces collide together in highly unpredictable and potentially catastrophic fashion for everyone involved. While commodity traders like Vitatal are raking in billions of dollars in profits, ordinary consumers and businesses face surging costs along with canceled summer travel plans everywhere. The current bull run, built purely on hope and earnings optimism, now faces its ultimate and severe test from powerful forces completely outside corporate control and balance sheets. Wall Street optimism and Main Street harsh realities are now on a direct collision course that could trigger one of the most dramatic market adjustments in recent memory. The comforting illusion of control and stability in both Washington politics and financial markets is rapidly cracking under the enormous weight of these harsh new unfolding realities. Prepare yourselves, investors, because the temporary comfort provided by this strong earnings season is about to give way suddenly to much harder and unavoidable geopolitical truths ahead. This perfect storm of a fragile ceasefire, recent leadership purges, and collapsing public confidence points toward a major and historic turning point for the entire investment landscape ahead. What ultimately emerges from this incredibly turbulent period will redefine risk and opportunity for the remainder of President Trump's highly chaotic second term in the White House.